Hey, Meghann Scully, and this is the Limerick Post Show, and joining me now it's physiotherapist Caoimhe Gilmore. Yesterday, of course, was World Physiotherapist Day. Caoimhe, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
And thank you very much. Great to be here.
Now, tell us where exactly you're a physiotherapist and what you did for World Physiotherapist Day.
So I've recently joined in the intermediate care facility, the new field hospital that was set up for COVID there in UL Sports Arena. So we just decided, I suppose, the fact that it was set up really for COVID, and the theme for Physiotherapy Day was physiotherapy and COVID rehabilitation. We said it was important and it was a good setting to really highlight this. So we basically set up 5 stations, just working on very simple stuff, your heel raises, your side plank, your plank, your hops. Nothing too technically orientated. So it was just so that people would get a good sense of what their norm should be from the research that's out there, and then where they were at, and what they could do then to address those different things. We did the stations, and then we had a quiz, and it was great. It was really good uptake. It was a fantastic day.
I think it's so important as well to celebrate physiotherapists, because I think, what people sometimes forget is that you're also frontline workers. A lot of people automatically think of nurses and doctors, but there are so much more people who are involved in the healthcare system, especially now this critical time of COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's COVID-19 gave us an opportunity as physios to highlight, the role that we have even in the acute setting in terms of, the positioning, the airway clearance, the ventilation, and the role that we have there. And that's not something people see, because they see the superstar running onto the pitch, and they see that field person, or even from the hospital setting, they'll see the physio walking the patient. They have a great job, they're just walking the patient all day. So there's so much more to it, from a neuro perspective. If they have a stroke, we're trying to rehab their upper limb or their lower limb, and trying to get their functioning back again to walking, or whatever it may be that they require to go home. Or whether it's an orthopedic fracture that we're trying to rehab that, or maybe it's respiratory. I was involved in pulmonary rehab in Nina Hospital, and we have a huge role in terms of trying to help their airway clearance, and if they've difficulty getting their sputum, different techniques that they can do for that, or if they're short of breath, how they can manage that, and then that'll empower them into being able to do different things that they need to be able to do for their daily life, and then that can be quite empowering and impactful for both for us in terms of satisfaction, and for them, obviously, the patient going home.
I think you kind of said it there, how I think a lot of us, you think physiotherapist, you just see the physio running onto the pitch, whether it be in Thomond Park, in the Gaelic Grounds, or in Crow Park, and you kind of automatically assume that everyone that does physio, looks after sports teams and athletes, but that's not always the way, because what you've just mentioned there, you're in hospitals, you're on the front line, you're dealing with so many different ailments. It's not just about torn muscles and ACL reconstructions. There's so much more to it. It's from your head to your toes.
Literally, but it's great. I was even saying there yesterday when I was preparing for the balloons, and I was blowing up the balloons, and sure, Jesus, it was great. My respiratory rehab was going, so it was quite good.
Well, I must try that, because I've always been bad at blowing up balloons, but now I'm going to make a conscious effort, because I'm like, oh gosh, make sure I get my lungs right. And that's another thing I learned from you during lockdown, was about the respiratory system and how important breathing techniques are to keep your lungs fit and healthy as well. Again, we forget that how important our lungs are, yet we breathe all the time.
Absolutely, and we don't really think about working them and the muscles that are actually attached to the lungs to help them work efficiently. And then obviously that's going to be more efficient for everything that we're doing. We need our lungs, and we need our heart, and we need all the organs around it to work as efficiently as possible. And if I can get the muscles around the lungs working more efficiently, well, then that's not going to be as energy demanding, and therefore they won't be as short of breath if they have a respiratory condition. So it's a snowball, and it's an education around that. I suppose from my perspective, I see a lot of respiratory patients, and they get short of breath, and they have that fear associated with that. And it's educating them around that, and saying that it's okay, and trying to come up with a plan to help them manage that.
I suppose, well, when playing sport, like we just kind of think that we run around for, you know, to keep fit and to keep healthy, but like realistically we're playing sport and we don't realize how important it is to keep our lungs healthy, because as you said there, I know with the fight with COVID, you know, it's the lungs and the respiratory system that's being attacked. So I suppose in ways, if you can keep your lungs as healthy as possible, it'll hopefully, if God forbid, if anyone did get something like COVID or any sort of colds or flus, that if their lungs are stronger, that they can hopefully fight it better.
And I think, yeah, you're referencing to, this is when I did the Pilates classes over COVID online. I did just at the start do little snippets on different breathing techniques to help with the lungs. I just thought, look, it's an opportunity to get more awareness out there in regards to what you can do for your lungs to try and help have your lungs in as best condition and ability to be able to fight off different things and be as good as you can be. Yeah.
I know as well, a lot of people always say, oh, you know, if, you know, you should always go out and get fresh air, you should go out for a walk. But I think as well, you kind of forget that you're getting fresh air, you're putting fresh air into your lungs as well, which is so important to keep them healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And getting obviously good quality oxygen and being able to perfuse that as efficiently as possible then obviously is key.
Yeah, I know. And you mentioned there about being in the intermediate care facility out in University of Limerick, which is a sports arena, where we were there. I remember just before it opened up to patients to see the place, and it's such a great space to have. And obviously during this time, it's very much so needed. So as you said, you joined there 6 weeks ago. How have you found it out there?
Oh, it's fantastic. And I suppose another thing to reiterate is, like, you know, that the team is so important, you know, and that's certainly been very evident in the ICF facility, and how we work so close together and we're really knitted. And I think that is certainly from the different insights that I've gotten from various professionals, just asking them in the lead up to this. I wanted to get insights as to how people experienced COVID, and the different challenges that they had with that. But certainly something that I've noticed has certainly come to the fore, has been that team. I don't know whether it's been people more open or just people are acknowledging the different roles and the impact that we can have as individuals. Like, I'm only a cog in the wheel, you know, or a piece of a puzzle. Whereas it involves the OT working with me, the social worker, it's everyone together, coming together, and it's that then together, then that patient can get home as best as they can. So one individual component in that isn't going to be able to get that person home. It's everyone coming together. And I think with COVID, we've had that opportunity to really gel together. And I think that's been a standout for me that I've noticed from what people are reporting back from their insights.
Well, Caoimhe Gilmore, physiotherapist here in Limerick, thank you so much for chatting to us on the Limerick Post Show and giving us some insight into the work that physiotherapists do, of course, frontline workers as well. And thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Meghann.